What's going on? What's going on? What's up, everybody? Macroverse and friends. I hope everybody's been good for the almost first half of January now. I know we're getting into it. Got it, probably more than that. Um, I know I've been busy. I know Evan's been busy. I know Macroverse has been busy. I don't know what everyone else has been up to, but I hope everyone is healthy and doing good. And we have got some things to go over. I know of some big news. I did my survey and I got my pre-horror set to deliver. So we shall have an unboxing soon. But in the meantime, let me bring in Mr. Evan.
Yoink. What's up everybody? How's it going, Tiny?
Oh, man. I'm glad to be here. We missed last week. So,
yeah, last week, my fault, kid. I canceled last week. We're just in the middle of getting a bunch of stuff done and just couldn't carve out the time. But I apologize for that.
It actually, just the way things have been, I couldn't argue. I was so busy. I was fighting to get back, and so I was like, "Oh man, okay."
Bummer, but all right. Yes.
It was good. It was a good day. It was a good day. So, no, I'm glad to be back. And like I mentioned, I know Pre-Horror had an update and sent out the surveys. And
at long last, so yes, pre-code horror. But so actually backing up for a second. It's been a couple weeks, so. Tiny Universe, aka
Scott Pierpont.
There you go. And Evan Matthews. And we were going to talk about aka Evan Matthews. So I'm one of the co-founders and CEO at Macroverse, and we do these live streams generally weekly-ish, around the same time, just to chat about anything that's new that we're up to, any news, any updates, and then often it ends up being a bunch of teasing some of the breadcrumbs of things that we're working on. 2025 is going to be a packed year, and so we've got an announcement that will be coming up in a couple of weeks, and then from there it's pretty much a kind of bullet train for the rest of the year.
This one's I can't wait. I'm like, I feel like I've been anticipating just this first collection so much.
Well, couple things about it. So just if anyone's not familiar with what we're talking about, we have a product line called Authentic Editions, which is a impeccable recreation. It's not a reproduction. It's really a restoration.
I was going to say
classic,
I feel like there's no really term for it. My
Authentic Editions is the term.
That's
So we basically acquire comics from the 40s, 50s, the golden age at this point is what we're mostly kind of working on. And then we scan them at insane resolution, and then we restore them back to the condition that they were when they were originally released. And then we release new editions that look and feel and honestly even smell like they did when they originally were printed and produced back in the 40s and 50s. So our first collection is a collection of pre-code horror classics. Pre-code horror is this era in comics history where it's just this kind of wild array of horror titles that deal with all kinds of subject matter, which even by today's standards is sometimes a bit scandalous, but also kind of this snapshot of culture and time. And our second collection is with Archie Comics, the very beginnings of the origin of Archie and Jughead and Betty and Veronica and all that good stuff. And then, our third collection, everybody knows there's more coming. So our third collection will be announced over the next 2 to 4 weeks, depending on a couple of minor factors, but it's going to be another really exciting one. And then we've got a whole schedule for this year. And frankly, with Authentic Editions, there's a 10-year publishing plan that we're in year one of, basically. So there's a lot coming down the pipe in that regard. Coming down the pipe can't be the right term, but it coming the pipeline. Maybe it is. Yeah, good question.
It's there.
If anybody knows if that's the right term, the right phrase, let us know in the comments. I'll look it up later. But lots coming in 2025 in Authentic Editions, and I gotta say, like I've actually we're gonna queue up and show a full book as part of this stream, which is I think the first one that will have kind of fully shown outside of some pages.
I was gonna say a few pages and then maybe some
teases here and there.
Yeah.
But yeah, this they are just looking amazing, and this is one of those projects where I've been making media and things for 25 years, and this is honestly, out of everything I've done, I've never been more excited to get these into people's hands, because there is a tangible quality to them, which we've talked about in previous streams. That's like I am actually someone that's a big fan of things going digital, but there's something about this particular product where it's like you really do just have to have it in hand to really see the glory of it.
I mean, I haven't actually held it, so this is all just what I can imagine, but it's that nostalgic, like the same thing I get with my collection. It's just having that different texture, and the feel's totally different. So
it is there. It's really hard to describe, because we print these on paper from the era. In the way we actually print them on machines that are from the era, so they're really just as much as we could a kind of faithful, immaculate recreation of the art, the time period, the materials, the process. So we're not trying to do like a director's cut here. We're trying to like bring you the thing as if we stepped back in time and brought it to you. So very excited about that. We had hit a couple of snags along the way as far as just putting all the pieces together for this. We've been working on this for a couple of years, and it's really kind of a monumental puzzle of the production of how we actually make the books, and then dealing with fulfillment of how do we put the right books together in the right packages for the right people, and then shipping them all over the world. And we've had to really build a kind of a pipeline for how do we make them, how do we print them, how do we ship them, how do we get them to people. And all those pieces were in place, but of course, this being the first kind of full run of books, like we definitely had a couple of challenges. Most of that has all been sorted out at this point. So we are now, as Scott said, people are getting the kind of the last piece of information we need from backers, which is where do we send these? And then we're finalizing all the print runs to then go to press and then start shipping. So we're right around the corner from actually starting to ship these out, which is very exciting.
So now I'm assuming for Archie, that this makes everything much smoother.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. So that's one of the things we knew kind of going in. We didn't know what issues we would run into, but we knew whatever problems we would have to solve, like this now becomes a reproducible thing. So every time we do one of these, it's just going to get smoother and more tightly, put together.
So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
So far with, pre-code horror, I'll exclude Archie. What's been like the hardest thing? Like what's been the biggest hurdle, the hardest thing to overcome?
That's a good question. I'll answer it in two different ways, because there's we have collectively as a team enough experience to, for people who know me have heard me say a bunch of times, like kind of my superpower is say yes and then figure it out. So collectively, we knew we could do this. So we didn't go into it with really any question that we could do it. But, we also went into it with like a few places where like, we're going to have to figure this out by doing it. Like there was no way to figure it out theoretically. You actually have to go through the process. And so I'd say the two challenges were the way we're putting this together, and it's not just for this particular collection, but also looking kind of long-term at our publishing roadmap here, is because there are, different sets and different full runs of all these different books, it's not just, here's the, 10 issues that we have identified. It's like there's about 100 books total in the full collection of pre-code horror. There's about 70, something in Archie.
You said it was 115.
Larger. Yeah, I think it is actually, you're right, 115. So we're, between the two projects, it's, close to 200 books, individual books. And then they're put into different configurations. And we made it even more complicated for ourselves with Archie because they come in two different variations of So one of the things we knew going in is like, this is not just something that you can like throw a SKU on, which a SKU, for anyone who doesn't know, is like a product identifier that a fulfillment or shipping partner would use to send this to people. You couldn't just like make a box and then like send it out like you would normally do. Or with most Kickstarters, it's like, here's my graphic novel and everyone's getting the same thing, right? So in this case, it's like a group of people are getting these 15 things, but a group of people are getting these 27 things, and a group of people are getting these 53 things. And so we knew like the logistics of managing the kind of supply chain and fulfillment around that was going to be one of the big challenges. So that was one of the things that it took us a while to find the right partner, to develop the right system, to make sure that they were comfortable and capable of dealing with comic books. Like anyone that, kind of has if any retailers in the comics business, you might hear stories about, some of the challenges that have happened over recent years with, new distributors that aren't necessarily familiar with shipping and packing comics. So there's making sure that these are handled properly to, get to people in the right way. And, we're really committed to like getting this right. So that was one challenge on the kind of production, side of it, the logistics side of it. The other piece is the creative side of it. And one of the things that we're, because we're dealing with books that are in some case, 80 years old, there are two things that we had to figure out there. One is just how do you get a hold of some of these books, since we are, in most cases, these are files that do not exist. Like you can't go to a publisher and go like, give us your source files, because there are no source files. Like even Archie Comics are, we're working with Archie on the Archie collection, and they don't have a copy of Archie.
So I was gonna ask, is Archie
to source those files. And so, not only are some of these books extremely expensive, like, we're with Suspense Comics #3, it's the most recent auction was $110,000 just for that single book. Pep 22, which is one of the Archie books, I think is, 125. And so, it's like we had to figure out how to get a hold of these, and then also very carefully, capture the images and capture them at a high enough resolution and capture them without damaging the books. And so we literally built a custom, scanning solution to be able to do this. And then, the process of then taking those raw files and then restoring them. So, it's like, again, we knew we could figure it out, but we also knew like we'd have to, kind of evolve the process. And I will say this about the time that it's taken us, the little bit of, we're probably 2 months behind where we thought we would be in delivering them. And what I will say is like the end result is probably the end result of what you're actually going to get in hand is probably 50% better than it would have been had we hit our original deadline, because we had a couple of breakthroughs in the production process where we redid 30% of the collection because we found a couple of things that were like, oh, this actually makes this way better. And so, what you're going to get now is actually just, it's pretty meticulous. Like I really could not be proud of it. So it's, I don't even really look at those as challenges as much as just like putting the pieces together, the right people, the right process, the right elements. And so now we do have that pretty dialed in. And, I will say we're going to keep learning, through this process. We'll, I'm sure we'll run into some new snags with, Archie. And then, my expectation is, we'll have this one, we'll have Archie. We have the third one, which we'll announce shortly. By the time we get through that one, I think it'll be a pretty well-oiled machine all the way around.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the wiggle room we've given ourselves, is like, let us go through 3 of these, make sure that everybody's delighted with the end results. And then at that point, I think we'll be, we'll be just confident in like, here's the next one, here's the next one, here's the next one, here's the next one. So get ready for a bunch.
As far as printing, I mean, like, since I know like it's done, not like the newer stuff, I know that you guys had to, basically do your thing and make, what was necessary to make the product. That's one of my favorite things about Macroverse. I mean, even digital, it's like, oh, well, what we want doesn't exist, so we're just gonna make it.
Figure it out.
But like, I mean, are you guys gonna be able to maintain, like, let's say like the 5-year plan, all those titles, all those books, so you're gonna be able to maintain that, or like, I mean, is like printing gonna have to grow?
Oh no, I mean, this is the beautiful part of it is, we came into this, and I feel very fortunate about this, like, the team that we have been able to put together, specifically for this project, which then, extends to kind of everything else that we're working on. I mean, these are the best of the best in this part of the industry. And so, it's like the core team for Authentic Editions, and then really for publishing as a whole is, these are people that have been doing this for their entire careers, that, know everyone, that have gone through different types of, challenges that are kind of equivalent. So, it gave me and all of us, I think, again, a lot of confidence to just go, we know we can do this. We know we can figure it out. We'll, find those elements that we're not quite sure of yet. And here we are. So, so yeah, we don't really have any concern about that. The only bottleneck that we run into at all in that regard is that, as this grows, because we've had to source this very special, specific kind of paper, which isn't, in wide use in general. We have had one delay where it was like literally waiting on well, yes. But we did have one order of paper where, we were a little bit delayed in getting it, to the printer in the time that we expected it. But, that's what happens when you have labor strikes in so yeah, it's honestly just been an incredibly rewarding, experience, I think, for everyone involved, and it just feels like we're doing something, really special, and that we think people are going to about it. Yeah. The other thing, which is a little spoiler alert, we mocked up, like, if you look at the Kickstarter, which you can still go see the Pre-Code Horror Kickstarter, the Archie Kickstarter is actually is still open for late pledges if anybody wants the Archie collection. But if you look at the Kickstarter page, we mocked up all of the collector's boxes kind of with a guesstimate on kind of like what the size and shape of them were going to be. And then as we're now getting the like final box sizes and print files out and all that stuff, it's like we underestimated the width of the spine by about half.
Nice.
And so when you think about like 10 64-page books in a box, like that's 650 pages plus bags of words, like that's substantial. And so, when you look at these collector sets, like I cannot wait. I'm desperate for people to do some unboxing videos, because I think, you're going to get this thing and expect it to be kind of like this. And it's going to be like,
I wish that I would have been able to get like, the biggest, I wanted all of it. Like,
of course.
So I just went with the basic, just because I felt like if I can't have all of the variants, I need the originals.
Yes, of course.
But there's no way that I won't open it on camera. If I can't wait to do it, I will film it at least so that we can replay it.
Absolutely.
But I'll try to hold out and open it live.
That would be awesome. And truly, like, we were, just going through the the fans in the other room. We were just going through the final, designs today, and realizing, like, for the full collection, it is massive.
Don, if I see it again, stop. Sorry about that.
No, man, all
My
good.
children are trying to beat each other up. Give me 2 minutes if you can.
Yeah, no worries. I'll vamp. You go take care of the cage fight off camera.
All right, thank you.
So yeah, I think people are going to be very excited about the collection as it comes. So I think I guess I can give a little update on kind of just the process. The way this works on Kickstarter is you get fulfillment surveys, which come out from our partner at BackerKit. So those have all been delivered to backers at this point. If anyone has any issues with those along the way, you can also email us at support, or actually rather better is Kickstarter@Macroverse.com, and we'll make sure everybody gets taken care of and sorted out. You do have the option to add any additional items to the order as you're checking out. So some people have been taking advantage of that, which is great. Archie is still open, so or I should say it's into the late pledge period, so you can still get it, but it's past the official campaign. But that is still available for those that want to grab it. And then, like I said, if you got both Pre-Code Horror and something from Archie, there's an exclusive issue that we put together for that too, which is the introduction of Madam Satan, which seemed quite appropriate. Yeah. And then we're going to keep doing that. I think part of the fun of looking at the long-term roadmap here is we really do want to we want to take care of the people that help this, be successful. And so we're going to continue to have, exclusives and special offers and, kind of unique things that we can give to the people that support, all the different campaigns and things like that. So, we talked about this a little bit before. The other thing which I have no real expectation for, or at least no real official expectation for, but I also just cannot wait to see what starts to happen in the secondary market for, some of these things. So,
well, I know one thing.
It's really curious.
I will never break my set.
Yeah. So if
someone does, though, there's a high probability that I'll buy some books.
Oh yeah. Somebody, I think that's what's going to be interesting is like some people did get multiple sets. So as some of those things start to get out there and see what people do with them. We have taken a handful of retail orders. So this is not something we're widely available for at the moment, but we had a few retailers reach out, which we were able to work out something with. So there's some select stores of impeccable taste that are going to have a few of these floating around. So I think it's going to be really fun to see it continue to play out. And we're not even done with Pre-Code Horror. There's more Pre-Code Horror on the way along with everything else. So again, just we're having a tremendous amount of fun like putting this together as we go. And so I guess before we segue into anything else, this is probably a good time to show a preview of this. So to put it in context, this is Weird Mysteries number 12, which is one of these classic titles and classic runs from this era. There's kind of two segments of books two categories of books in the full collection. There's kind of a pre-EC comics collection and there's a post-EC comics collection. And what's interesting and notable is that EC really pioneered the Crypt Keeper style character. So like the narrator, the identifiable kind of the character that would kind of bring you into a story and give you a little bit of a preamble or perhaps give you a little pun at the end of the story about how they got their comeuppance or that sort of thing. So they really created that idea of like the Crypt Keeper style narrator. And so you'll see in some of these books, like once they did that, they're like, oh, we should do that too. And so this is actually one of those where Weird Mysteries has this recurring kind of witch character. And so you'll actually see that right here as I bring this in. So this is just not replace
title page,
whole screen. So I'm just gonna kind of go through the pages. This will not do them justice by any form or fashion, but I will zoom in here a little bit and you can just get a look at what I love how crisp we've been able to make these. Like you can really you know, you won't really be able to tell as probably as well on the live screen, but it's like you can see every dot, every line, you know, even the way that
I'll say like
paper.
from my view, you can't. Yeah, you're not seeing the dots, but like the color is so crisp.
Yeah, yeah.
And I mean, like, yeah, you can tell. I mean, you can tell it's.
And it's that, you know, it's that classic color palette. It's, you know, this is one of the things I love about classic comics. I love this page, but it's like, you know, you're doing a lot of heavy lifting with, like, the sky is literally pink. The castle is literally purple, but somehow, like, you just read it as real. Like, it all makes sense. It all fits together. It all feels cohesive. You know, they're literally standing in front of a yellow wall up here, but it's like it reads like it's one, you know, cohesive world. And I think it's a kind of a magic trick how well that works in this style, where I think, you know, one of the things I think, you know, when you see most modern facsimiles, you know, they'll replicate this color palette, but without the texture and the original application of the techniques that they were using. And it feels weird because then you're seeing this just kind of like flat swath of, like, you know, this green wall behind this guy. And it just doesn't seem like what you would actually choose to do with more modern, you know, techniques. So it becomes this kind of weird, you know, kind of this weird balance of, you know, you're kind of replicating or duplicating this, you know, classic thing, but you're losing in my mind, kind of the soul of what made it unique and kind of the experience of it to begin with. One of the things we've also noticed, but the ads are also like just unbelievably fun and delightful. So like one of the things you'll find, like, looking through the collection is, like, the range of ads really makes you go, like, who are these books for? Because you know, you've got this one about, you know, pimples. And then I love this story, by the way, this rat trap story. Awesome. But you know, you'll have that ad, and then later in the same book, you'll have one for, like, women's undergarments. And then, you know, in the same book, you've got the, like, you know, put on a bunch of muscle. And then, you know, just, you know, one of them has like if you're having problems wetting the bed, and you would think, like, maybe that's towards kids, but it's like hopefully they're not adult people. It's very, very interesting. So there are these little short stories and prose, which are, you know, kind of interesting and fun in here. Borrow money by mail on your signature, quick, easy, private. I love this page as well. This is the other thing that, you know, this era of comics does so well, is the splash page, this kind of you know, initial introduction to the story. It just, you know, so good. Yeah, so here's the witch character that, you know, we're talking about, kind of gives this little intro and then the title, and then she'll pop up, you know, occasionally to kind of give a little extra commentary. And, you know, just really that flavor of the era is so cool. You know, kind of a horrific reveal here at the end, but that's what these are all about. Here we go. Stops bedwetting, medical tablet discovery. The safe, new, easy way without electrical devices, rubber sheets, or alarms.
Okay, what kind of electrical devices were they using?
I mean, it makes you wonder. It legitimately makes you wonder.
It's crazy.
Adults, start living a normal life tonight.
Wow.
It's really fascinating. And again, it's like part of what I love about it is it gives you this really unique snapshot at this moment in time, which is just really cool. But yeah, just, you know, here we are inside of someone's mouth. I
mean, it's mind blowing, like how, you know, to see it. I mean, even for myself, and take it away from this comic, but just anything in that time period.
Yeah.
It's so hard to find anything that's not yellowed or, you know, just faded. And to see it it's popping and it's so clean. Like, you know, I can't wait to hold it and actually go through it. Cause I mean, like, you can tell already just how crisp it looks.
And I also will say, like, you know, you got to take them for what they are, and an artifact of a particular time and place, but they're genuinely entertaining. Like, a lot of these stories are just like, yeah, it is, you know, again, it's representative of the time, but it's fascinating and interesting and compelling. And it's like, you know, they're all organized in these kind of short stories, anywhere from 2 to 12 pages, you know, across the collection, where
I was just gonna say about, like, what's the range of stories per book?
it depends. I mean, the other thing which is wild, and one of the things that we did have a few minutes of kind of like, what do we do with this? Is there's once you get to this era, so like Weird Mysteries, Chamber of Chills is like a little step further than some of the earliest stuff that we have in the collection. But you know, the earliest stuff, like, you know, the Punch 12 and Suspense 3 and the real Golden Age, like beginning of the Golden Age, and that Golden Age size. So that's another thing we've done, is like every book is reproduced its original size. So you're getting stuff that's, you know, there's actually 3 different sizes of books in the total collection, where there's the Golden Age or Silver Age size, and then there's what people consider kind of like forgot exactly what the term is, like Super Golden Age or something like that, where it's like 1 inch taller than the regular Golden Age. And so there's like these 3 sizes. You know, they're all, again, reproduced at their original size and ratio. But not only are they different sizes, because, like, you know, you imagine these companies in the early days, like, they're just figuring out as they go along as well. So when you look at like the run of Punch Comics goes 1, 2, 3, no, 1, 2, and then they did they not make 3 through 8? I don't know, but all of a sudden they come back with number 9, and those issues do not exist. They were never published. So there's this, you know, gap in the numbering, which is interesting, and we, you know, reproduced that. But it's not that those issues are missing; they just never got published, whether they were ever drawn.
Interesting. And, you know, like Incredible Hulk did the same thing. They ran through like maybe 1 through 6 or 7, and then skipped through 102 maybe.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I now want to look that up. But not only did they do this weird number skipping, there's also, like, in the course of just that one series, I think there's, you know, 12 books, I think, in the Punch run. They're all between 56 and 64 pages. But there's 56-page ones, 58-page ones, 4-page ones, and it's just like, you imagine them. I imagine them in the, you know, whatever office, you know, kind of bullpen they were in. Just gonna like, that'll work. Send it. Like, we gotta get it out, you know.
Yeah, and then on the other end, the guys in the printing are like, "What are you doing?"
Well, what really tripped us up is we had a moment where we were figuring out the final page counts for all of the books, and because of the nature of printing, everything has to be printed in a certain, you know, number of pages in order for the fold to work. So you basically have a 4 or an 8-page, you know, group of pages that are folded and put together, and then multiples of those become the full book. So, you know, when we initially started counting all the pages, we kept coming up with an odd number in a couple of those books, and we're like, how is this possible? And if it is right, how do we deal with this? So the one and only thing that we have not replicated is that in the post-World War II and kind of the tail end of World War II, because they were conserving metal from everywhere for the war effort, some of these books have one staple.
Yeah.
We have
you mentioned that on a previous episode. And that blew my mind, that, like, I just don't see how those would hold up. You know, like, I can't believe that there would be any that would be existing with intact staple.
Yeah, pretty wild. So yeah, that's the one thing, the one liberty we took is the books with one staple now have 2 staples.
And I will say I thank you for that, because I first wanted to rip a page out as soon as I opened it.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah, I mean, I would imagine them coming apart when you pull them out of the bags and boards. So.
Oh, man.
So anyway, we're having a blast with this, like figuring it out, solving all the things that come up, and just I truly cannot wait to get them in people's hands. So that's the Authentic Edition story. A little bit of Mixprint news. So Mixprint is this other product line that we have, which is one of X collectible things, and so we've done this now with multiple comics, and then one of the big announcements, which I will tease here, is taking Mixprint into a new arena with a pretty big deal. Big deal, not as in like big deal like wheeling and dealing, but like pretty big deal collaborator, which we could not be more excited about. So I don't think I'm allowed to spoil this one, unfortunately, but it will be out in the world for people to get their hands on in April. So we are not too far away from a official announcement. And seeing the stuff coming in for that right now, like, I'm going to sound like a broken record. I don't mean to be just patting ourselves on the back for all of our awesomeness, but the stuff we're doing right now is really cool. And this one is, as we're seeing the artwork come in for it, it's just like, oh my God, this is cool.
For the people that, maybe aren't familiar with what you've done so far for Mixprint, you want to mention that?
Sure. So the first published things, the first things you can go out in the world and get are with through Titan Comics, which we have a kind of long ranging partnership with. And this is a series that this is their biggest original series called Heat Seeker, or Gun Honey is the larger world, and Heat Seeker is a character within that world. So these are these kind of sexy James Bond spy characters, and we've done a series of exclusive covers in this style. So every one of the covers, there's I think for issue 1 there's about 3,000, and then I think for the subsequent issues there's 2,000 and 2,500. Every single one is a unique variant, and so I don't know, I think we did this before on a previous episode where I don't know how much I want to I don't want you to have to put kids in the other room or anything, but so in this case these are a little spicier. This is a thing that Titan does with this series, where they have a version of the cover which comes blind bagged, and it comes blind bagged for a good reason. But in careful placement of my finger, you can see you have a cover that looks like this, and then you have a cover that looks like this, and so wildly different in the actual final result, as far as the color and the style and kind of the final effects. She's got different weapons, different hairstyles, different accessories, and
the thing I really liked about them too is that cover is like a thicker, kind of like, I don't want to say
it's a premium. It's definitely a premium.
It's a real nice cover, and then on the inside you still get on that first page the regular.
So we worked with the cover artist that does these for this series is a guy named Brow, who is actually just very talented and good. And then collaborating with him on putting all the pieces together, and then we've developed this technology which is partly how we create the art and partly how we print the art, because it's it's kind of a little bit of black magic involved in all of this. But in this case, like being able to print things that are one of one before this would have been prohibitively expensive and just not really doable, but we've figured out a way to do that. So now we can apply it to all kinds of different things. So we've got more coming with Titan over the course of this year, more stuff in comics in general, and then we'll be announcing this kind of other category, which we're very excited about as well. And then some other kind of in early stages of discussion partnerships around that. But this is just one of those things where it's like the more people see it, and kind of the same with Authentic Editions, like you kind of have to get it in people's hands for them to really understand, what the specialness of it is. But it's very cool.
I will say, that's the first kind of like post Web3, kind of thing, Macroverse thing that I've actually had physical in my hand.
Yeah.
And I mean, like I said, just the quality, the colors, everything. I mean, I was extremely impressed. And I mean,
yeah,
I imagine that's
good printing. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. No, it's good. I mean, yeah, again, I think a lot of this year is, I think, going to be people starting to kind of see these different things, and again, how they all fit together. By the middle of this year, we'll have a bunch of stuff that will roll out on our platform. So we're in the midst of a major update to our digital platform, which will bring a lot of all these pieces together into one place. There's even over the last week, there's been some pretty exciting developments around that. So, things that, as I sometimes say, like, no one's going to see some of this coming, but it's going to be good.
What's going on with beta testing?
Yeah, so on that front, if you go to macroverse.com right now, there's a button in the upper right-hand corner, what's the word on the button? Join the wait list. Join the wait list. So click on that and put your email in, and then we're going to start inviting beta testers. We're squashing some bugs right now, so we're doing internal testing right now. So if you know us, if you're kind of someone we already know and you're interested in doing some internal testing before we open it up to, yes, you can call this alpha testing. So definitely looking at you. Anybody else that's kind of been around the Discord of the community for a while, hit us up if you're interested in doing some internal testing. And we'll get you invited to that. But the official kind of beta test, we've got a few more bugs we need to squash before we start opening that up. We'll be inviting people in waves. So, if you're an early adopter, if you're a comics fan, if you're a collectibles fan, this is going to be a great place to be. And, we've built in some light social features. So if you're someone that wants to get your username before anybody else gets it, and those kinds of things, get on the wait list, and we'll get you in as we start to open this up. I think we're timing wise for kind of a broader launch is going to be sometime around summer. And I think by that time, we'll not only be in kind of full swing of beta testing and continuing to invite people in, but we've got a bunch of really cool features kind of coming down the road that I think people are going to be excited about.
I was going to say, and there should be a bunch of content out by
there will be a lot of content. Yeah, it'll be a lot of content. And then the other thing, which is maybe just worth mentioning, is it's been a kind of tumultuous time in the comics industry this week in particular. So I live in California. Fires are burning in California, but in the comics industry in general, Diamond Comics Distributors, which has been the kind of main distributor for 30 years, the only distributor, and really still the main distributor for a big chunk of the industry, declared Chapter 11 this past week. So, that doesn't mean they've disappeared, but it does mean it's going to be a little bit of a bumpy ride for all but the biggest publishers, for a bunch of retailers. So I think there's some interesting ways that I hate to say positively, because it's going to be painful for a lot of people, and I don't mean it that way, but there's some opportunity for innovation inside of this moment. But at the same time, if you are a comics fan and a fan of the industry, this would be a great time to also support local retailers and do whatever you can to just help people through this period. I think the thing that I haven't seen talked about a lot is two of the big challenges in this kind of working its way out in whatever way it does is there are a bunch of retailers that can't get product, which means their revenue is in jeopardy, and for a lot of stores that's very challenging. And then smaller publishers especially are also owed a lot of money by Diamond in many cases, and so when you're a smaller publisher and kind of counting on that cash flow coming in to be able to do the next thing, that's also damaging. And so I think there are some publishers that are going to be really challenged by this. There are going to be some retailers that are really challenged by this. Even if Diamond ends up not going away, it's still going to create a bunch of chaos in the industry as a whole for the next little bit. So, in any way that it makes sense, if to try to support retailers and small publishers in particular, I think it's worth trying to do that just for the overall health of this industry that we love. And in the meantime, I think we're going to see a lot more direct to consumer, a lot more, ways of connecting directly with fans. Like, people are kind of going to be looking for other ways of, getting stuff out. So again, sort of interesting combination of how do we support the existing industry from contracting while also, potentially some opportunity there. So just more interesting 2025.
Kind of on the subject, we got a question over on the side. I don't know if you noticed, but
I didn't see that.
I can't see because it's so little. Illyrio.
Yeah.
Quick question. It says that issue number 3 of the blind bags are canceled. Is that true?
Oh, for Heatseeker, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Not canceled, probably resolicited. So this is part of the fallout from what's going on with Diamond. Is a lot of things got either pushed back, or I can't speak to exactly what Titan is doing as far as how they might be looking at how they move forward from this, but nothing that was currently being published is actually canceled. They might have had to cancel it to then be able to move it on the schedule or to adjust to what's going on. But yeah, if you're seeing that, it's really a function of that. It's not that it's not going to come out.
Yeah, good deal. Because I think I had a pre-order.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I can't. I mean, this is another one where it's like we've gotten better with every issue. So if you saw issue 1 and you liked it, I think issue 2 was even better in some ways. So, issue 3 is even better, and issue 4 is now my favorite. So I can't wait for those to come out.
Nice. Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I know you got yours probably like a full week before I got mine. So I think too, depending on where you are, I mean, I think like down here, like those had got pushed back a week or 2.
Yeah.
Just coming to the stores. So
I mean, yeah. Well, in this particular case with Heatseeker too, like, again, we got a bunch more planned with Mixprint for comics over the course of the year, but this was the first one that made it, all the way from, yes, this is a good idea to now it's in the stores.
Yeah.
And so the other thing, which is kind of interesting, I think, this will be looked at. I believe this will be looked at as kind of a bit of an additional bump for the collectability of it, in that, we were not able to get them. We didn't make the decision with Titan early enough to do this, where it went through the normal cycle of being solicited in previews and then coming out 2 months later. So all of these that have come out so far have been what's called late order cutoff, or through the the kind of last minute ordering system. And so there wasn't a chance to like really build up as much understanding and demand for them initially. Whereas when we do the next series, like, we will actually go through that process. So I think people will be more aware of it. They'll have seen what we've done so far. They'll have more time to order them and understand them. So I think this first set of Mixprint covers is actually going to be pretty special in that regard, and that there'll be probably dramatically less of them in the world than other stuff that comes out. Yeah.
Well, then I'm glad I got several of them.
Good thing. Got several of them. I'm glad that I do too. So yeah, I think those are the big things. I think, what I would encourage people to do is definitely get on the wait list for the platform. If you like any of the stuff that we've talked about or have been talking about, like, we are designing the next generation of the Macroverse platform to be a central hub for comics. Like, it'll certainly be stuff that we're doing. It'll be all the stuff that we're talking about, but it'll also be a place for fandom, for creators, for creativity, for being able to connect around this thing that we all love. So there's a lot of things that we're working on which look a little different than what you've seen from us on the platform side, and we think from what you've seen on anyone on the platform side. So very excited about what that all looks like. But it's, we are designing some things as, we like to reward the people that are here from the earliest days, that are, believers in what we're trying to build, that support what we're trying to build. So as this continues to roll out, there will be some benefits to being early, and also it's just going to be fun. So definitely encourage getting on the wait list. Again, if you know us, then reach out if you want to be part of the alpha test, and just you can hit me up in Discord or DMs or whatever if you're watching and you want to do that. And then I think the other thing is, if you're interested in Archie, which is the current authentic editions that are still available for purchase, you can get those on Kickstarter. Just search Archie Comics or look in my bio wherever you're watching this, and I'm sure you'll find a link.
Yeah. So I was gonna say too, for everybody watching, I think like my big thing for everybody to take away from this is, one, check your emails if you're
if you're a backer, definitely.
If you're a backer, look for the email, because they've gone out, as well as several updates. And then two, check the links, check the socials, all that good stuff. Go on Kickstarter, search Macroverse. You'll see all the stuff that's going on, not just, Archie. And I know even like some of that stuff, will pop up before it necessarily goes live. So you never know what could be on there. But all the socials.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there, but yes, all the socials. And the other thing I will say is, we are going to, I can't say an exact date, but we're going to put a little more energy into a newsletter in the short term. So anyone that's backed the campaigns, we'll give you the chance to opt out if you don't want to be a part of getting those emails and things. But we're going to start sharing some exclusive stuff, through the newsletter, including some offers for some exclusive books and things like that as well too. So again, like we really want to cultivate a community of fans and people that are into all of this stuff in various ways, and we'll reward the people that we can for being a part of that. So yeah, good stuff.
Well, and just to throw this out there again too, we've mentioned this before on several episodes, but the updates are fun, and I mean I get now both of them, and I kind of look forward to them and see what's going on, what's happening. But for people that don't actually want necessarily to back or get the full collection or anything like that, you can back is at any amount, $1 or up, and you'll still follow along with the process.
That's a good point. And with Archie, I mean, with pre-code horror, unfortunately at this moment, it is closed for orders. We're just through the process of fulfillment. So we're not done with pre-code horror, but we're done with this initial batch, basically. Just getting it into people's hands. For Archie, because late pledges are still open, there is an option if you're not sure, but if like Scott said, if you just want to be kind of in the loop of what we're putting out to Archie backers and kind of what's coming up from there. There are two options that are very at the top of the page, basically. So there's a pledge whatever you want for no reward, which can be as little as $1. Or what I think the better option is we designed a tier called access to add-ons, which is also $1, and then that'll get you all the information. But it also means that if you then decide that you do want to add more to that and you want to get any of the Archie collection, you'll continue to have that chance all the way through the fulfillment process. So when you get your surveys from BackerKit, you can then actually use that as the access to then be able to add other things too.
I was going to mention that because on I did notice on the pre-code horror, when I was going through the survey, it gave me an option at the end still, like add-ons, You sure you don't want anything? I'm just, it was a stressful moment for me.
Yes, well, in the spirit of pre-code horror, we'll try to tempt you.
But no, I mean that is a good point. Like for $1 or a couple bucks or whatever you want to make donate, it does give you that last minute opportunity to jump in all the way through fulfillment, which is that's pretty cool because not a lot of people get that opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. And it's been interesting. One of the things we were a little surprised by, a little inside baseball conversation here, but one of the things we were a little surprised by in Pre-Code Horror is that, we did a few different sets of variant covers. And so there's, fluorescent ink set, there's a blood moon foil set, which I actually think people are going to be really excited about when they see what those look like. And then there's a gunmetal silver. And so the fluorescent ones, like, a lot of people chose the fluorescent ones. And I think those are also just going to be awesome when people see them, how they're printed. Less people than we thought took the foils in the initial offering, but a bunch of people have added them, have gone back and added them now. So it's just interesting. Like, this is all, again, we're just kind of learning what resonates the most with, collectors and with the people that are into this stuff, and kind of adjusting, each set as we go. So we learned a couple of things in Archie, which will apply in how we structure the campaign for the next one. And we'll just keep getting better at this. So it's all fun. So Tiny/Scott Universe, where can people find you? Where should people connect with you?
Discord, always. I mean, if you're like a Macroverse person and you're in the Macroverse Discord, I would say that's the fastest, easiest, way to get me. But other than that, I mean, I'm pretty much Tiny Universe or Secret Agent Tiny across socials. Facebook is probably my favorite, comment-wise. And I would go by Scott Pierpont there. But, whatever. Discord's my favorite.
Yeah. Very good. And you can also get me on Discord if you mention me. If I may not, we've been so busy and other stuff, honestly, like I might not see it if you don't mention me for a little bit, but if you do, I will definitely see it. And then you can also catch me, on the various platforms. So I'm personally at Ebonverse just about everywhere. And then at Macroverse on Twitter/X and at Macroverse HQ just about everywhere else. So by all means, follow along. We do have a lot of fun stuff coming over the course of this year. And
you do have AKA, and you didn't even know it.
Oh, it's true. This is true. Very good. All right, man. Well, thank you for hosting as always. We will be back here again around the same time next week. And of course, these are all recorded, so you can go back to them, if you're interested in the history of me not saying anything specific for multiple weeks at a time until we finally talk about the things that we're working on. There's a lot of that. But
there could be a lot of good breadcrumbs.
There's a lot of good breadcrumbs. And I always think we end up talking about a few things which are pretty interesting as far as, at least for the people that are interested in how we actually do this stuff. I think it's something we try to add a little value to. So anyhow, thank you again. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.
Share this with someone else who might be interested in what we're working on. And,
hey, someone did also answer the Hulk, at least.
Oh, good. Yeah, I can't see the comments for some reason. It's just a spinning.
So basically, titles. It usually means that they retitled or something. Mm-hmm. Postal mailing, permit to save money. Which I knew with Hulk, it was a titling. It was a retitle or something. And I know that with Hulk, it was like the Rampaging Hulk, and
if they're doing a new title, then that makes total sense. Punch has no excuse.
Punch nothing. Just missing book
3 through 8.
Just missing book. But here's
I do
the story. Appreciate that, David.
Yes, thank you.
Putting that up.
Here's the story I'm going to make up in my head about Punch Comics. They published the first 2 issues, and then they're like, we don't know if we're going to keep this book going. And then, a bunch of months later, they're like, you know what? I think there is a market for this. We need to get this book out. But they're looking around. They're like, but all of our competitors have made it up to like issue, 7 or 8. Like, pretend that we never stop publishing issue 9 coming out this month. So that's the story I'm going to make up about it. So.
Executive decision. We're just going to jump in where we should have been.
Yeah, then people will think we didn't miss a beat. So that's
That's
I
right.
imagine the cigar chomping, magnates of old in the bullpen making that call. So, all right, my friend, we're going to end it there, and I hope everybody has a wonderful evening. If you're in California or any of the other places that are being affected by insanity, by all means, stay safe.